Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something really quite deep, finding that sense of peace, that connection just within ourselves.
Yeah, it's crucial. We're basing this on a recent YouTube video from Rabbi Itamar Schwartz. He offers some really practical insights into this whole idea of solitude.
And it feels more relevant than ever, right? With everything constantly demanding our attention.
Totally. And this isn't about, becoming a hermit or anything. It's more about building a solid inner space.
A place where you can just be comfortable in your own skin, reflective.
Exactly. Finding that healthy relationship with being alone.
So consider this our exploration, pulling out the practical steps Rabbi Schwartz suggests. It's a journey, he says.
A gradual one, which is good news, I think. No pressure to get it perfect right away.
Right. So where does he start? He has this idea about solitude being, well, kind of innate.
Yes, he looks way back to our very first experience, actually, in the womb.
Which is inherently a state of being alone.
Profoundly alone, yeah. But in a unique way. It's distinct from, say, the spiritual world before and the physical social world after. It's just contained, individual.
Huh. I never really thought of it quite like that.
And he argues it's not accidental. It serves a purpose.
What kind of purpose?
Preparation. Building a kind of fundamental independence and inner strength before we even enter the chaos of the social world.
So it's like we're preloaded with this capacity for solitude.
In a sense, yes. And even now, with all the connectivity, having that ability to be okay, even content, when you're alone, that's a real asset.
An inner anchor. I like that. Keeps you grounded when everything else is swirling.
Precisely. It means your sense of self isn't totally dependent on who you're with or what you're doing.
Okay, but he does make a distinction, doesn't he, about who this advice is primarily aimed at?
He does. He acknowledges that people are different. Some folks are naturally drawn to solitude. They recharge that way.
And others, maybe like me sometimes, tend to fill every quiet moment.
Exactly. Or feel energized, mainly by being around others. Rabbi Schwartz is really speaking more to those who might actively avoid being alone or just find it really uncomfortable.
It makes you think, though, what happens if we never allow that quiet?
Well, he cautions against extremes on both ends. Total isolation isn't the goal, obviously.
Right.
But neither is that constant need for external buzz. It's about finding a healthy middle ground.
Okay, so for someone listening who thinks, yeah, that's me, I struggle with being alone, what's the starting point? Where do you even begin?
He offers a very concrete first step, really practical.
Which is?
Dedicate time, just 15 minutes a day, minimum, to be alone.
15 minutes sounds doable, but also maybe surprisingly hard for some people.
Oh, definitely, especially if you're used to constant input. He totally gets that.
Though it might feel awkward or even like stressful at first.
It could. And he says, look, initially you might need a buffer, maybe some quiet music or focusing lightly on something simple like folding laundry, whatever.
So it's okay if you're not just sitting there perfectly still with a clear mind right away.
Absolutely not the expectation. Those things are like training wheels. They help you ease into it.
Ah, okay. Scaffolding.
Exactly. But the long-term aim is to get comfortable just being in that time without needing the music or the task.
Just you and your thoughts.
Whatever comes up. It's about building that tolerance, that capacity for your own presence.
And like you said, 15 minutes. It's not a huge chunk of the day, but making it intentional, that's the key.
It is, creating that space deliberately.
Okay, so you've managed to carve out the time. Maybe you're still using those training wheels.
Right.
What comes next to make it feel less like a chore?
Step 2 is about shifting the feeling, moving from just enduring it to actually finding some enjoyment in it.
Enjoyment. How?
By consciously choosing things you like doing, things that bring you satisfaction that you can do alone.
Ah, okay. So active engagement, but solo.
Right. And he even suggests making a list. Small things. Doesn't have to be major.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Reading a few pages of a good book, really listening to a piece of music you love, maybe sketching, enjoying a cup of tea without scrolling on your phone. Simple pleasures.
Things that fit in that 15 minutes.
Exactly. The goal is to change the association. So alone time starts to feel less like something you have to do and more like something you might actually look forward to.
Building positive vibes around your own company.
You got it.
Yeah.
And he also mentions, which I think is helpful, that you can combine steps 1 and 2 if that works better for you.
So use your enjoyable solo activity during your dedicated 15 minutes from the start.
Yeah, if just sitting there feels too daunting initially, it's flexible. Find your entry point.
Okay, this feels like a really manageable progression. Then he introduces a kind of framework, right? These different levels or stages of solitude.
Yes, 3 stages. He uses the Hebrew terms, which adds a nice depth.
What are they?
First is levad. That's just the basic state, being physically alone.
Okay, step 1 territory.
Pretty much. Then comes name. That's the feeling of pleasantness, of enjoyment while you're alone.
Ah, so that links to step 2, finding those enjoyable activities.
Exactly. Levad and name are really tied to those first 2 practical steps we talked about, making the time, finding the joy. They're the foundation.
And the third stage?
That's shikit, which translates roughly to inner quiet, stillness, peace, experienced while alone. That's the deeper goal.
Okay, shikit. Inner quiet. That sounds profound. How do we get there? Moving beyond just enjoying being alone to finding that real peace.
This is where it gets a bit more subtle. It involves looking more closely at what you're doing during your enjoyable alone time. Name.
How so?
It's about starting to notice the quality of the enjoyment. Some activities, even enjoyable ones, might still feel quite mentally noisy.
Noisy, like stimulating, exciting.
Yeah, or distracting perhaps. Versus other activities that naturally lead to a quieter inner state. It's about discernment.
He uses an analogy for this, right? Something about maturing.
Yes, like how our taste in food changes.
Mm-hmm.
Or music. What excited us as kids or teenagers might not resonate the same way later on.
We develop different preferences. Less sugar, maybe more complex flavors.
Exactly. And he suggests our inner world, our soul, kind of does the same thing. It matures. It starts seeking deeper, quieter forms of satisfaction.
So the loud, flashy enjoyment might give way to something more subtle, more peaceful.
Potentially, yes. Think about a kid loving a loud arcade game versus an adult finding deep contentment in, say, gardening or quiet contemplation.
That makes a lot of sense. I can definitely think of things I used to fill time with that now just feel empty, almost.
Right, and he hints that if we're constantly seeking high-stimulation external stuff, maybe we're resisting that natural inner growth,
Yeah.
sticking with the noisy enjoyments.
Interesting. So it's about tuning in, noticing what truly brings that deeper sense of quiet fulfillment, not just temporary distraction.
Precisely. Recognizing that real satisfaction often lies in that quieter space.
Okay, so to help us actually cultivate this shakit, this quiet, during our solitude time, he offers some practical tips, right, for the environment.
Yeah, really concrete things you can try, like choosing a space that feels calm to you. Quiet, if possible.
Makes sense. What else?
Comfortable clothes seem small, but it helps. Maybe some calming music, he suggests. Perhaps something more spiritual or meditative, if that resonates.
And things for the senses.
Definitely. He mentions looking at open spaces, the sky, a horizon. Apparently that helps create an inner sense of spaciousness, or even just pictures that evoke that feeling.
Oh, okay. Visual cues.
Yeah, and also calming scents, maybe incense or essential oils if you like that.
Mm.
Even having a warm drink or a light snack can be grounding for some people.
So it's really about creating a little sanctuary for yourself.
Kind of, but the main point is it's totally individual. You have to experiment and figure out what actually helps you settle down and quiet your mind.
It's not a one-size-fits-all formula.
Not at all.
And he also mentioned something about tailoring the approach based on your own tendencies.
Right. Like, if you're someone who's naturally quite introspective already, you might benefit from starting your alone time with just quiet sitting than maybe doing an activity.
Okay.
But if your mind is usually buzzing, really active, starting with a calming activity might be a better way to gently bring the energy down first.
Got it. So know thyself, basically.
Essentially, yes. Work with your natural rhythm, not against it.
Now, the video also had some questions from viewers, which were really helpful, I thought. Someone asked about that feeling of being physically alone, but your mind is just racing, still connected to everything else.
Oh yeah, the mental chatter. So common.
Totally relatable. What was the advice there?
Rabbi Schwartz really circled back to the foundations. He stressed that if you're struggling with that mental noise, the answer isn't necessarily to try harder to be quiet.
No. What then?
It's to double down on those first steps. Consistently doing the dedicated time, finding those enjoyable solo activities, that's what gradually trains the mind to settle.
So you need the groundwork before you can expect deep quiet.
Exactly. He used this analogy. You wouldn't build a skyscraper on shaky foundations, right?
Right.
You can't just jump into advanced meditation or expect profound peace if you haven't built the basic comfort level with just being present with yourself first.
Patience, patience. Build the base.
It's all about cultivating, not forcing.
Okay, another question was about those times when solitude feels bad,
Yeah.
like lonely or isolating. Does that serve any purpose?
That was an interesting one. His take was, yeah, even those negative experiences can be a catalyst
A catalyst for what?
for seeking something better. That feeling of disconnection, of being adrift, can actually spark a yearning for a different kind of solitude,
Hmm.
one that feels more meaningful, more connected, maybe more spiritual.
So the discomfort can actually push you towards seeking a healthier connection with yourself.
That's the idea, reframing the negative feeling as a potential motivator.
That's quite a powerful reframe. What about combining this with prayer or spiritual practice?
Similar theme. The advice was, don't rush it. Focus on building that inner calm, that shikhet, through the basic solitude practice first.
Prepare the ground before planting the seeds of deep prayer.
Something like that, yeah. If your inner space is really noisy and unsettled, it's hard for deeper spiritual connection to take root. Build the foundation of inner stillness.
Then there was someone who said they're actually alone a lot, maybe due to circumstances. How is this relevant to them?
That's a great point. The difference between chosen solitude and imposed loneliness.
Right.
For that person, Rabbi Schwartz suggested looking closely at how they use that alone time. Is it just passive time filling, or is it intentional?
Are they doing things that nurture them or just distracting themselves?
Exactly. And are they allowing for reflection? He validated that having alone time is good, especially if balanced with social life, but the invitation was to use that time more consciously.
So if you already have a lot of alone time, you could use this framework to make it more fruitful.
Definitely. Intentionally work through the stages. Make sure the time feels established. Actively seek those quieter forms of enjoyment. Name and consciously aim to cultivate that inner peace.
Yeah.
Move from just being alone to growing while alone.
Shifting from passive to active solitude.
Beautifully put.
Okay, what about distracting thoughts during things like prayer or meditation that came up too? So frustrating.
Yeah, the monkey mind. His advice connected back to calming what he called the animalistic soul, basically our everyday restless self,
How do you calm that?
by finding things in your regular daily life, outside of prayer time, that bring you genuine calm and satisfaction. Those moments help soothe the overall system.
So bringing more name pleasantness into your day generally can help quiet the mind during focused practice.
That seems to be the idea. He even mentioned reading something meaningful or uplifting as a potentially calming activity that can help train the mind towards focus.
Interesting. Okay, one last question, and this was a deep one, about prioritizing desires. Like, what's more fundamental, praying for a spouse's health or seeking that deep soul connection?
Yeah, that really gets to the core. He acknowledged, of course, that caring for loved ones is vital, deeply important.
Obviously.
But he positioned the soul's innate yearning for connection, a connection with the divine, with its source, with deeper meaning, as the ultimate, most intrinsic desire.
So the practical concerns are real, but the underlying drive is something more essential.
That's how he framed it. And interestingly, he suggested that working on that interconnection, cultivating that sheket, can actually have a positive ripple effect on our external lives and relationships too.
So it's not an either-or. The inner work supports the outer.
It seems so.
Wow. Okay, so wrapping this all up, we've walked through this really practical yet profound path that Rabbi Schwartz lays out.
Yeah, that three-step process.
Mm.
Step one, just make the time, 15 minutes, maybe with some help at first. Live at.
Step 2, find things you actually enjoy doing alone during that time. Cultivate and name that pleasantness.
And step 3, start noticing which of those enjoyable things lead you towards a deeper inner quiet, towards sheket, refining your practice.
And the payoff for doing this, for you listening, is potentially huge, isn't it?
Absolutely. More self-awareness, definitely. More calm in the middle of, well, life, and just a deeper understanding of yourself beneath all the noise.
Okay, so here's a thought to leave you with. Maybe take a moment, even right now or later today, just reflect. What is your relationship with being alone?
And maybe what's one tiny thing you could do? Maybe it's just identifying one activity you enjoy solo.
Or, going a step further, try that idea of listing some enjoyable solo activities and thinking, does this feel more noisy inside or more quiet? Just notice.
Yeah, that distinction could be really revealing. It's just the start, of course.
A conversation with yourself, really.
Exactly. Keep exploring. See what resonates for you. There's always more depth to find in that inner quiet.